Hello, and welcome back to Channel Harbor. Channel Harbor is a city based on the metro area of Hampton Roads and will be my last project in City Skylines 1. In the last episode, we started working on Venture Beach, a city inspired by my hometown of Virginia Beach. It's a city full of single-family homes, bland strip malls, enormous naval bases, and the tourist-packed oceanfront. We started out with laying the groundwork of the resort district, as well as the main beach strip. We set up some hotels facing the water, a few apartment complexes, and some snooty rich housing. This time we're going to do much of the same: housing, shopping, and more development, but in style. Strip mall style, I mean. Now this won't be the first strip mall we're building in Venture Beach, but seeing as it's the first non-growable commercial development, I feel like it's worth showing off. Low-density commercial buildings like this one plague Virginia Beach's major intersections and arteries. Big box grocery stores, gas stations, strip malls, and the like are all over the city. All of this awful land use continues to support car dependency and suburban sprawl, which is this town's bread and butter. The apartments I'm building right now, and the complex I built in the last episode, represent the vain attempt at increasing density by way of suburban-style apartments. These are multifamily buildings, yes, but they're usually surrounded by vast seas of parking. These projects have been popping up all over the oceanfront within the past 10 years or so, and the rest of the city. Channel Harbor is supposed to be my attempt at fixing the problems that currently exist in my hometown. Even though it utterly pains me to purposefully build these types of things, I'll be using it as a foundation to create my solutions to the issues I believe need to be fixed if we want to be treated like a real city. Please feel free to share your thoughts and opinions on what needs to be improved from the real world in Hampton Roads. Virginia Beach certainly has its flaws, and many of those will be resolved in the future in this series. However, I'd love to see what you guys think. If you comment below, I'd read every one of them, or feel free to join my Discord and post it there. Now, I know I'm not spending any time at detailing these blank spaces. I'm pretty much just filling them with the same trees. That's a purposeful decision on my part. I'm building Channel Harbor as a full-scale city for the sake of having a functional city to fix issues in. If that means leaving a few spots under-detailed to save my frame rate, I'm certainly going to take the opportunity. We move on to a classic beachfront site you'll see all up and down the East Coast, a massive old 1980s condo building. This build isn't a copy of anything in particular, but more just to fill the same volume of a similar condo at the oceanfront. I am really struggling to find assets on the workshop that mimic this style of building. Venture Beach's oceanfront is full of old hotels and condo towers from the 70s and 80s, but those are few and far between on the workshop. If anyone knows of any good quality assets, please feel free to shoot them my way. Finally, we're developing some transit. Well, the VB trolley line is nowhere near a form of mass transit as much as the people waiting for the stop want it to be, but it's an important way for tourists to transit around the oceanfront without having to use their cars. When we develop more complex transit in the future, I'll be converting this from a standard bus line into a sightseeing tour with the same trolley vehicle. During the busy summer season, the 3 trolley routes cover most of the areas tourists want to go. On Atlantic Avenue, the trolleys have dedicated bus lanes to keep them moving through busy spikes in traffic. The vehicles are old-timey feeling and styled to look like street trolleys, but they're actually running on natural gas. The whole system is pretty much the only thing that Hampton Roads does right in terms of transit. Now, let's get down to the real business of this episode. The Cavalier is an opulent 1920s resort that was renovated in early 2018. It's a massive historic hotel that used to span over 350 acres, most of which was a golf course. When the new owners took over and renovated the hotel, they chopped up the grounds into dozens of brand new row homes. This drastically increased the density and made an incredible use of this space. This makes the Cavalier one of the greatest projects done in Virginia Beach in the past few decades. We're starting off this build by building something completely different. The neighboring property is a large condominium development. It's a staple building on the VB oceanfront skyline because of how absolutely disproportionate it is to the rest of the buildings on the strip. And now, the second part of this build that isn't actually the Cavalier Resort. Well, technically it is. This development was built by the same people who purchased the historic Cavalier that we'll be building across the street. This oceanfront site was the home of the new Cavalier, a second hotel built in the 80s and demolished when the developer purchased the project. Unfortunately, Google Earth data hasn't been updated in a few years, so I can't actually show you what this looks like in real life without copyright from photographers. I mean, realistically, I could have gone down and taken pictures myself, but who has time for that? Anyway, this development has two major chain hotels, one a Marriott and the other an Embassy Suites, and a parking garage wrapped in apartment buildings. Again, this is an incredible use of the available space and needs to be done far more often in Virginia Beach. We will be doing a couple more projects like this at Venture Beach in our series this time. Okay, this time, I finally promise we're actually working on the Cavalier Resort. Since this building is so special, I had to use PO to make the building itself. I used an amazing asset for the Venetian Hotel in Las Vegas as a basis, and distorted it a ton to get it to match the right proportions of the real thing. I unfortunately couldn't copy the crown of the Cavalier in this build, however I eventually came up with a solution off screen for this. If anyone knows of any assets that resemble the Cavalier in any way, I would certainly appreciate any help in matching up the assets for this build. The area around the Cavalier had to be filled with these disgustingly expensive houses, so I pulled out my old reliable row homes and got to work. The developers used the same company to build all the homes, so most of them turned out to be cookie cutters. This was helpful to me since all I had to do was just copy and paste the same selection of houses to fill in the gaps. Just to butt in here, this next section was recorded the day after the previous. I had spent some time overnight browsing the workshop to find some more assets that fit the theme, so that's why the roads went from those one-unit alleys to these brick streets that you're looking at now. I still feel like I didn't do a very good job of detailing this area, mainly because, like I said before, I want to get the main point across with these builds and the city as a whole. Spending a ton of time micro-detailing these builds just doesn't seem like it's going to add a lot to the area. I'd love to hear your guys' feedback about what I should improve on. We may do a B episode in the future where I run back through old builds and touch them up a little. That would probably be the best way to fix some of these issues going on in the future. Alright, I know this episode had a lot of time lapses and not a lot of talking, but I hope that you enjoyed watching these few builds come together. I'm trying to shoot for releasing an episode each week of Channel Harbor, but don't hold me to that. If you like what you see and want to see more, make sure to subscribe and hit the like button, and join my Discord if you want to join the community and keep up with me. Thanks for watching, and enjoy some cinematics.